Okay, so in this tutorial, we're going to be talking about the if formula. So the if formula is a really, really common formula to use because it's just awesome. There's so many things you can do with it. So basically, the if formula is allowing you to choose if this statement is true, then I want it to do this, and if it is false, I want it to do that. So I'm going to show you a few different options here because, like I said, there's a lot of uses for it. You can even nest them inside of each other. So I'm going to show you quickly what we can do and what I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So for example, here I have a little budget table right here. So we've got our expenses, our budget, and our actual. And we can use the if statement to show our status of our certain categories. So if I want to know if I'm on budget or if I'm over budget, you can actually do an if statement to show that. So let's actually do that right here. So what you're going to need is some data. We have our budget and we have our actual right here. So I'm just going to go into the first cell where I want to add in my if statement. So I'm going to do equals because we always start our formulas with the equal sign. And then I'm going to write an if. Now you could put in your left bracket or you could just select it when it pops up. I'm going to select it. And here it's giving us a little bit of more information in case you want to see more. It does give some examples, but it's saying first we need to put our logical expression in there, and then we want to put what it will say when the value is true, and then what it will say if the value is false. So very simple. Basically, what I want to do is calculate whether my actual has exceeded my budget. And for this one, we're going to do a little bit of a math equation for it. But like I said, there's many different ways to do this, so don't get overwhelmed. It's okay. So what I wanted to say, basically, I have to do an equation where I'm going to take my budget amount and I'm going to minus the actual from it. And I want to make sure anything above a -1, so even if it's a 0, we're on budget, right? So if it says 0 or anything above it, it's saying, hey, we're on budget because we still have money left to spend, whereas anything in the negatives will be that we overspent. So I've got my if statement here. Let me just zoom in a bit so I can actually, don't mind me, I'm going to zoom in so we can see it a little bit better. Bam, there we go. Okay, so back into here. So I've got my equals if, my left bracket, and now we're going to do the logical expression. So for this one example, I need to say that I want to minus this amount from this amount, and it needs to be greater than -1. So to do this, I need to put some in brackets because bad math. But basically, I've put an extra bracket in there. I'm going to select my first cell where I've got my budget amount. I'm going to do the minus sign. Then I'm going to select the second cell where I want to minus the actual amount. I'm going to put my right bracket because I want that to be done first. I want the budget to be, the actual amount to be minused from the budget. And then as long as that number is above -1, I want it to say something. So I'm going to put greater than, so my little pointy bracket, and then -1. So that is just my logical expression. So if that is true, what do I want it to say? So now I need to put my comma. Now it's asking me if it's true, what do I want it to say? So in quotation marks, because I want it to show text, I have to put quotation marks. I want it to say on budget. So anything above, well, didn't spell it right, bud. Sorry, I'm thinking different words and trying to talk at the same time. And I'm going to put a quotation mark at the end. Yeah, because anything above like equals to 0 or above a 0 is going to be on budget, and anything below is going to be over budget. So now I've got my first value of true. It's going to say on budget, and then I'm going to put a comma, and then it's asking me if it's false, what do I want it to say? I just want it to say in quotation marks again, over budget. And then quotation marks, and then I'm going to put my end bracket, so my right bracket, and hit enter. So as you can see, it already says on budget because my actual is smaller than my budget. And you can do autofill if you want. If you don't want to do that, you can just select the cell, and then I'm going to use that magical blue dot and drag it all the way down. So that way it copies the formula all the way down and adjusts it for the correct row. So now it's letting me know my rent's on budget, but oh, look, I overspent in my groceries and I overspent in my takeout and I overspent with my books and medication. So it's a great way to update a status. So instead of sitting here and being like, okay, well, I spent 65 here, but I only had a budget of 50, it's an easy way to let you know if you've overspent or if you're actually on budget. So that's why I love the if statements, because it makes life a lot easier. So yeah, let's now do the next one. So this one actually has our tasks. So we've got checkboxes, we have our task names, and then we have statuses. So it will actually update the status based off of a checkbox. So right now they're currently unchecked, but as soon as I check them off, it says completed. So it's an easy way to see if you've completed a task or not. So I can just check these off and it automatically updates the status. So to do this, what we're going to do is you're going to double click into the cell where you want to add in your if formula. I'm going to do equal sign if, then I'm going to put my left bracket, and now it's going to ask for my logical expression. So again, what do I want my statement to be? And if it's true, what do I want it to be? And then if it's false. So what's the original statement? And basically I just want to say, hey, if this is true, so if it's been checked off, so if you don't know a checkbox, when it's checked off, it's true, and when it's unchecked, it's false. So basically I want to say if this cell where it has my checkbox, so I'm going to put in G, sorry, just need to move some, G19. So I'm going to select that cell, equals true. Then I'm going to put my comma. So if this is checked off, what do I want it to say? So if it's checked off, I want it to say completed because it means the task has been completed. So in quotation marks, I'm going to put right in completed. Obviously, you can write whatever words that you want it to say. You could put emojis if you want. You can have a lot of fun with it. So, but for now, I'm going to just do completed. Actually, I'm going to add an emoji as well. So maybe I'll just put a little check mark there. There you go. And then making sure that I have both my quotation marks at the beginning of my text and then after my text. Now I'm going to put a comma, and it's going to ask, what do I want it to say if it's false? So if it's not checked, what do I want it to say? I'm going to put in to do. Or you could say not done, or whatever wording you want to say there. Then I'm going to put in my right bracket and hit enter. So as you can see, because it's not checked off, it's saying to do, but as soon as I check it off, it says completed with my little check mark. So now what I could do is I could take that cell, I'm going to select it, use that magical blue dot, pull it all the way down to copy that formula all the way down. And there you go. So we're going to fix a few things after, but I just want to go through each of these different options. Now, this one over here, we have a task, we have due dates, and we have, actually, no, I'm going to do this one last because this one's a little bit extra. Let's do our students. So if we have student names, we have their grades, and we want to write whether they've passed or failed. That's an easy if statement. So it just makes it easy again to identify what students are failing and which ones are passing. So now let's scroll down here. I'm going to just double click into the cell where I want to start my formula. I'm going to do equals if. I'm going to put in my left bracket. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to select the cell, because basically what I want my logical statement to be is if anything below a 60 is going to be a fail. So if I do that this grade, wherever our grade is, if it is bigger than 60, so again, we put greater than symbol, and then whatever number, you could do 50, whatever the limit is for your pass and fail. Then I'm going to put my comma. So if that is true, if that number is above 60, I want it to say pass. So I'm going to put in quotation marks pass. And maybe I'll put a little emoji of our celebration because yay, they passed. And then end it with our quotation mark. And then I'm going to put comma. So now if it's below 60, what do I want it to say? So I'm going to put in quotation marks, fail, and maybe a sad face. So let's look for a sad face and a crying face. There we go, perfect. And I'm going to put in my last quotation mark and my right bracket. So again, it's an if statement saying, hey, if this number is below 60, it's going to say fail, but if it's above, it's going to say pass. So if I hit return, you can see it's below 60, so she's unfortunately got a fail. And now I'm just going to copy this formula all the way down. And as you can see, it's showing passes for everything. So now if I update this and let's say they get a 65, it will automatically update the status and let me know that they've passed. Now, the problem you may see here is, hey, some of these are blank. Some of these are blank, but they're getting still a fail. So we can actually fix that, and we're going to talk about nesting our formulas, our if formulas with another if formula. So I'm going to show you a quick, easy thing to do. So I'm going to go back to my very first formula here. So this is the original one that I want, but I'm going to do another formula. So I'm going to nest an if formula inside of another if formula, because basically I want to say is, hey, if this is blank, then I want it to be show blank. I don't need this fail to show. But if it's not blank, then I want it to continue on with this lovely formula. So what I'm going to do is in front of the formula, or if formula, but after the equal sign, I'm going to start another if formula. And I'm going to put in if, my left bracket. And so now what I want it to say is, to do whether this is blank or not, we're going to use, actually we're going to add in another formula, is blank. So I'm going to write in is blank, blank, there you go. Then I'm going to put a left bracket. I'm going to select the cell so that if this student name right here, if this cell is empty, then I want it to show blank. So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to put my right bracket. So again, this is its own formula right here, is blank, left bracket, and then we selected the cell that we want to compare whether it's blank or not. And then our right bracket. Now I'm going to put a comma because again, this was our statement. Now, if that is true, if it is blank, what do I want it to say? I just want it to be blank. So I'm literally just going to put in another comma. You don't have to put anything in there. So just because we have two commas, this is saying this is blank. So if this is blank, if that's true, I want it to be blank. So that's what this means. There's nothing in between my two commas. And then now if that is false, if there's actually text within that cell, it's going to go on to this if formula. So this might be a little confusing. We'll do it a few times, no worries. Now I'm going to hit return because I'm done. I've got my two if statements. I've got the first one. This is my logical expression. Then we've got the value if that expression is true. If it's false, it's going to go on to this if formula. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to select that cell. I'm going to drag that down so it copies the new formula all the way down. And as you can see, it's now blank because this is blank. But as soon as I add in a name, so let's add in Stacy, it's going to show me a fail until I actually add in a number. So let's say they got 55, it's going to be a fail. But if they got 85, it's going to be a pass. So as you can see, we've nested two if statements together to create it where it still will show the pass or fail, but then if there is no name over here, it will hide that. So before I go over to this one, let's do another if statement so that way I can show you like the nested ones so I can show you how it works. So again, we're going to our task area. So this one is where as long as there's a check mark or the check box is checked off, it's going to show completed. If not, it's going to show to do. So I'm going to go to my very first formula. So here's our if formula. But now in front of it, I want to do my if. My task is blank. Then I don't want it to show anything. I just want it to show blank because now it's saying all these are to-dos. That gets a little bit annoying to see, so I'm going to hide those. So again, in between the equal sign and our if formula, I'm going to do another if formula. I'm going to do if, left bracket. Then I'm going to select the cell that I'm referencing. So I want to say, hey, if this task right here, if this little cell does not have, or sorry, I forgot to put is blank, but let's go back, sorry. So if is blank, there we go. Now I'm going to select that actual task where the task should be. So if that's blank, then I need to close that off because that's my logical expression. So if this is blank, now I have my comma. If that's true, I want it to just show blank. So again, we don't have to do anything. We just have to put another comma. And as you can see, as I'm going through and I'm selecting different areas of my formulas, you can see it's actually highlighting where we're currently at. So this one is my logical expression. As you can see, it's highlighting that. Now, if I come between the two commas, you can see this is, hey, if it's true. So it's allowing you, if it was true, what do I want it to say? I can say no task, or I could just leave it blank. I just want to leave it blank for now. So that's why there's nothing in between these two commas. And now I come over to my other side of my comma and it's saying value of false. So again, we're just going to keep our original formula in there because that's saying if this is not blank, if there's actually a task name in there, I want it to continue with my other if formula. So that way, if this is checked off, then this will show over here completed. If not, it will say to do. So now I'm going to hit return and I'm going to select that cell. I'm going to use the magical blue dot, pull it all the way down. And as you can see, now these are blank. So this may take a little bit of practice. Don't beat yourself up. It takes time to get used to the if formula, but once you do, you're going to be using it all the time because it's amazing. And I do use the if formula to show a blank if a certain cell is blank. I use that a lot. And so knowing how to nest the if statement within another if statement is going to be key to making some of your planners. So this is just a great one to do. All right, so we're going to leave that one, but I'm going to come over here because we're going to need two different statements. So this one, what I want to do is show three different statuses, and I could do that with a nested if formula. But we're not talking about the blank ones. We're doing two different if formulas, and the first one is starting with, if this is today's date, I want it to show as due today. But if it hasn't come up yet, if the date still hasn't arrived yet, I want it to show as upcoming. And then if the date has passed, I want it to show overdue. But because I want these three different sayings, because most of these, this one had two. You either passed or you failed. This one, completed or to do. This one, on budget, over budget. So you had two options there. Now, if you have one where you have three or more, you're going to have to nest some if statements together. Or there's a million different ways you could do things in Google Sheets. But for this example, because I want to make it super simple, we're going to just nest two if statements together. So basically, I'm going to go into my cell. I'm going to double click in. I'm going to put my equal sign. And then we're going to do the first if statement. So I'm going to do if, left bracket. And then I want to select the date because we're going to do the logical expression. If this date is today, I want it to say due today. So I'm going to select the cell because this is where my date is. I'm going to do equals today. Then you need to do left bracket and right bracket because that is the formula. Don't ask me why, but anyways. So this is saying, hey, if this is today, that's our logical expression. Now I'm going to put a comma. If that is true, then in quotation marks, I'm going to write due today. And you can write whatever you want here, but that's what I'm going to put here. So I put that in quotation marks. Now I'm going to put a comma. And now we want to say if it's not true, if this is not today's date, what do we want to say? But we have some other options. We need to say, well, if this is before today, I want it to say that it's overdue. If it is after today, let's say it's an upcoming date, then I want it to say upcoming. So now this is where we're going to add in our if formula again. So again, we're taking an if formula and we're nesting it inside of an if formula. So I'm going to do if. So we don't need another equal sign because we already have one here. You just need one per formula, like complete formula, or one per cell, I guess. Other than when you're saying like something is equaling something, obviously. Okay, so anyway, so we've got our if statement. I'm going to put my left bracket. Now we're going to say, again, we're going to select this date. So if this date is greater than, so I put my greater than sign. If it is greater than today, then I want it to say upcoming. So again, so like if it's in the future, I want it to say upcoming. If not, so that's my true statement. So if this date is greater than today, so if it's upcoming, I want it to say upcoming. But if it's false, if it's not, then I want it to say overdue or past due, whatever you want to say. So in quotation marks, I'm now going to say if it's not true, it's going to be overdue. Quotation mark, and then my right bracket. So as you can see, we have our two if formulas. I've got one here, and then it's nested inside of this one right here. So again, if this date is today, it's going to say due date, but if it's not, then it's going to check again to see, hey, if this is greater than today, so if it's later on in the future, it's going to say upcoming, but if it's not, if it's in the past, it's going to say overdue. So now I'm going to hit return. It's going to say overdue because it is currently February 17th and January 1st is definitely overdue. So now I'm going to copy that all the way down. And as you can see, we've got overdue because again, I said it's the 17th. So the 12th, That's in the past. 18th is in the future. So that says upcoming, upcoming. And then this one is today. So it's saying it's due today. Now, if you wanted to show those blanks for anything that's blank, we could do another if statement that's nested in. So we can have 3 if statements. You can literally have as many if statements as you want. I've had some formulas where I have like 6 or 7 if statements all nested into one formula. Totally up to you, but I will show you how to quickly do that again. It's just a repeat. So again, we've got our main formula here. I'm going to go between the equal sign and if, and we're going to do if left bracket is blank, left bracket, and I'm going to select the cell that I wanted to check to see if it's blank or not, which is my task list right here. So I'm going to select that cell. I'm going to close it off with a right bracket, and then I'm going to do my comma. And again, what do I want it to say? So if this is blank, do I want it to say blank, or just be blank, or what do I want it to say? So I just want it to be blank, so I'm just going to do another comma. But if you want to say something, you would put it in quotation marks. But then we leave the rest of our formula because it's already ready. And now I'm just going to hit enter, and I'm going to select that cell again, and I'm going to copy down that formula all the way down. And as you can see, now it checks to see if this is blank or not. So now if I do task 6, enter that in, I'm going to choose a date. It's going to automatically say overdue. But if I choose a date, and let's say we're going to do the 18th, you can see it's upcoming. By today, it's going to say due today. And if it was yesterday, it's currently overdue. So that is the if statement. It's very powerful. You could do a lot of different things with it. I'm sure you're going to be using it in almost every spreadsheet you use or you create, because I usually add it into a lot of my spreadsheets. But yeah, that's it. There's no limit to what you could do for your logical expression. You could do so many different variations of this. It's literally up to your imagination. If you have any questions at all about the if formula, let me know. If not, I will see you in the next video. Don't forget, you can sign up for my free mini course, the Wild Heart Spreadsheet Academy, which is perfect for beginners, where I show you everything there is to know about Google Sheets and getting you started creating your own spreadsheets. Plus, you get to create a cute weekly planner. You also get a free custom GPT to give you some ideas to create your first spreadsheet. So completely free. Check it out. I have the link below. Thank you so much.